What up, everybody? Hungry and Hungover here. Today is March 27th. It is also the 17th day in the month-long challenge where I review random shit and play solitaire. So, historical fact for today, in 1985, Billy D. Williams received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and famous birthdays, my all-time favorite director, Quentin Tarantino. So, tonight is UFC 260. I've been anticipating this rematch between Miocic and Ngannou for a long time. I even discussed it a little bit in one of these previous days. And tonight, it's finally going to happen. So I'm going to give my prediction on that. And I'm also going to give my prediction for Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal 2, which was announced not too long ago. And yeah, we're going to talk about it. So back in the first fight, I believe too, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ngannou was the betting favorite then, and he's also the betting favorite tonight. And I find that absolutely absurd because that first fight, oh my god, dude. Ngannou wasted all of his stamina in the first round. You could literally see like he's visibly exhausted by midway through round 2, and the fight went on for 5 rounds. Stipe utilizes wrestling extremely smart. And he was able to control Ngannou and weather the storm of that first round. And my prediction for tonight, as long as Stipe survives that round 1 flurry from Ngannou, he should be able to get it. But again, Ngannou is an outlier, and that's one of the reasons why I think he is the betting favorite. Much like guys like Anthony Johnson when he came back to the UFC and had his light heavyweight run. Those guys are outliers in regards to power, and I find it's probably super hard for the odds makers to bet against them because all it takes is one punch, and that power doesn't come around too often. So Ngannou 100% could win. I'm just saying, based on what we saw in the first fight, and we have to remember that he was pretty much thrown into that championship fight after that legendary knockout over Overeem, and I think he even said that he wasn't even training wrestling because why would he, you know? When you have power like that, what's the point? I think Ngannou should definitely get a wrestling coach, don't get me wrong. But he should try to adapt Chuck Liddell style sprawl and brawl because holy shit, he eventually, if he doesn't win tonight, I guarantee he will become the heavyweight champion. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of who and when, but it'll happen with this dude's power. Well, if Jones apparently gets the winner, I really want to see Jones versus Ngannou. Jones versus Stipe, yeah, it'll be interesting, especially if Stipe wins tonight. I mean, we got to give him the credit. He is the heavyweight GOAT, no doubt. But Jones versus Ngannou, something about that match, like that's a moneymaker. I really want to see that because that could be the first time we see Jones get finished. And Kamaru Usman is fighting Jorge Masvidal 2. That was announced recently. Not too excited for that. I definitely commend George for taking that first fight on short notice and literally saving the UFC for their first ever, Fight Island card. But honest to God, like, there's nothing George can do. Even with a camp, dude, Kamaru Usman to me is literally like the Nigerian George St. Pierre. Okay, he's gonna remain champion for a long time. In the first fight, Masvidal landed 2 body kicks, and that was it. And that was at literally the opening of the first round. Kamaru was able to control him the entire time, and he's been on a tear ever since that complete domination of Tyron Woodley, who's also fighting tonight. I just think I don't see anybody in that top 5 right now outside of Colby because they put on a war. But Kamaru's grappling is just too good. And, George could talk all this shit about how he doesn't finish people or whatever. When it came down to that fight, yeah, he took it on short notice. But if we're, we got to look at this objectively. I'm a fan of Masvidal. But he offered nothing. He could not do anything in that fight. Usman held him against the fence, and you could, critique Usman for not finishing him, and he took that fight on 6 days' notice. Jorge is a tough dude, and Usman didn't have to finish him. He had to defend his title. and he controlled him throughout the whole time. I know fans don't like that style, but that's what it wins fights, and that's why I'm comparing him to George St. Pierre. I really believe Usman's skills, he's in his prime right now. I don't see anybody outside of Colby, because they respected each other's grappling abilities and didn't even go to the floor once. I don't think anybody outside of Colby can give him a challenge right now at 170. I really don't. And Ngannou tonight, I hope he was working on his wrestling at least, a bit, because ever since that first Stipe fight, he lost, and then he fought Derek Lewis, and that was fuck that fight completely. But then he just he went on a tear. He knocked out Curtis Blades, JDS, and Kane, who were literally two of the most prominent heavyweight fighters of the last decade. Finished them, completely ruined them. And then Jairzinho Rosenstrike, he bull rushed him in 20 seconds. So anything could happen tonight. I'm gonna say if Ngannou doesn't finish him in round 1, I just won that game. It's over. Stipe will just control it. So there's my predictions. There's my thoughts on Masvidal Usman 2. And peace. Subscribe. Can't wait for the fight tonight.